Support WrestleTalk!
Share this video on social media. Thanks for your support on Patreon. He's no jackass, Dano. Luke Harper returns to WWE. The Fiend shows up and fingers Seth Rollins' mouth. And Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks have a great match. And a terrible ending. I'm Ollie Davis. Press the thumbs up button, give us a subscribe, and answer our question of the day in the comments down below. What next for Luke Harper? Because I'll be replying to people from out of nowhere saying it's Clash of Champions. You know what that means. Also, vote in the poll above my head to give your rating for the show, where you can choose from Best of Both Worlds, Great Per View, Thumbs in the Middle, Meh View, and Worst of Both Worlds. While Luke and I review WWE Clash of Champions 2019.
Those who watched our livestream reactions to the show will know that we giggled like school children with the fact that the acronym of Clash of Champions is COC. You know, cock. So will Clash of Champions be a flaccid cock or a rock-hard stiff cock? Well, if the pre-show is anything to go by, it's very much the former. The night kicked off with cruiserweight action as Drew Gulak defended his title against Lince Dorado and Humberto Carrillo. This was pretty good, but the ending was a little sloppy, with Gulak retaining his championship by repeating the Baron Corbin King of the Ring semi-final finish from just 6 days ago on Raw. Surprisingly, given the fact the women's tag titles were being defended on this show, AJ Styles' United States Championship defense against Cedric Alexander was somehow on the pre-show. Cedric started hot, but AJ took over with a brainbuster on the apron and a Styles clash on the outside. He then pulled Cedric's shoulder off a pin he knew he could have easily taken. I know this one. Yeah, the cocky heel thinks they've got it all wrapped up and then come undone when the babyface picks up a pin from out of shock and surprise and oh no, wait, AJ just beat him up more and more and then won very convincingly. How odd. This made Cedric Alexander look totally rubbish and killed any credibility he might have as a future title contender. The OC then beat him up after the match to really put the emphasis on the fact that Cedric is rubbish. I guess that's what you get for having the audacity to wrestle in front of your hometown crowd and get a hometown pop.
The main show kicked off with the Raw Tag Team Champions Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman, who will also be fighting each other later in the night for Seth's Universal title. I'm sure that won't play into anything here. Defending their tag belts against Rudolph the Impromptu Tag Team, where Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler isolated Rollins for most of the match, for Braun to then run round into people. Unfortunately, one of those people was Seth, allowing Bobby to hit a glorious DDT to become the new Raw Tag Team Champions, which means we get to do this. Next up came mostly heel hometown girl Charlotte, so she's definitely losing, against the also heel, recently turned Bayley. But tonight, for about 4 minutes, Charlotte wrestled like a total babyface, until she was tripped into an exposed turnbuckle, where Bayley got the devious win and ran out the arena quicker than you can say, wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube men.
Raw Team The Revival looked to win the SmackDown Tag Team Championship from New Day. Brand split, LOL, and they came out with Randy Orton-inspired jackets and trunks that reflected their new stable. Shame that Randy didn't get that memo for his match later in the night. The heels worked over the babyfaces for a while, hit a shatter machine on Big E on the outside, and another to Xavier Woods. But instead of pinning Woods, they targeted the injured knee and made him tap out. The finish sort of worked, but also didn't because it fell flat with the crowd. They just didn't know how to react to it. Alexa Blissly Quinn was backstage with Nikki Cross when a boom mic came into shot. It was R-Truth who made Carmella instantly break character. Send for the man! And this resulted in some 24/7 comedy. And somehow that comedy spilled into Bliss and Cross defending their women's tag titles against Fire and Desire, with the 24/7 geeks all running down and jumping into the ring. The crowd were dead before this happened, and the shenanigans really really didn't help them get into the title match either. Cross won with her neck breaker, and this company clearly doesn't care about either the women's tag titles or the 24/7 belt at this point.
Shinsuke Nakamura's selling is really good. Shinsuke Nakamura's kicks are really good. Shinsuke Nakamura's sliding German suplexes are really good. You know what? I think Nakamura might just be really good. It's easy to forget when you hardly see the guy wrestle for months, and watching him against The Miz here was a treat, especially with Miz holding up his sports entertainment side of the equation. Sami Zayn interfered constantly, helping Nakamura retain the Intercontinental title in a fun match. Becky Lynch versus Sasha Banks was a war of submissions, with all the best moments of their 20-minute match happening in either the Banks statement or the disarmer, and the crowd got even more into the drama when the match went full-on sports entertained, with Sasha using the steel chair behind the referee's back and then dodging a shot from Becky, which practically killed the referee considering how frail they are. It's like she's a fan of Eddie Guerrero or something. She should really bring that up more. This started a fun brawl through the crowd, around the concourse, and then back in the ring with the chair. Well, it was fun until you realised the match had actually finished 5 minutes previously. You see, Corey Graves explained officials disqualified Becky as soon as she accidentally struck the ref. But then, why didn't anyone try to stop the ensuing brawl or ring the bell? This just made the crowd confused as the action fizzled out to a limp finish. And if there's one thing you do not want cock to be, it's limp. And possibly oozing from the end.
Oddly, given how the feud has been booked since SummerSlam, Randy Orton versus Kofi Kingston, I said the names right this time, yeah? Didn't have the same intensity as their SummerSlam match had. And this felt like a match from 15 years ago. You know, when every company had talent that was doing way more impressive and exciting things than WWE was producing, only now those talents are in WWE and the company is still putting this match out there. And there's nothing wrong with slow and methodical, but the finish to Banks versus Becky totally killed the crowd and they were only reacting to the big spots. To quote Ollie Davies' notes on this match verbatim, boring, 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 RKO from out of nowhere is Orange Cassidy, a Randy Orton parody. In the end, Kofi hit Trouble in Paradise for the win. Even his celebration was a bit boring. Street Profits then plugged the King of the Ring finals for Raw with some genuinely funny references to the Lion King, and we got a great bonus appearance by King Booker!
Rowan vs Roman Reigns was the only match not for a championship on a show called Clash of Champions. And it's an 11-match card. There's too many titles on the main roster, and it went on second to last. As many of the big men are booked in WWE these days, Rowan's major foe wasn't Roman Reigns, but running into objects when Reigns moves out the way at the last second. Just like Sasha and Becky earlier, they got their own brawl around the crowd with a fantastic crossbody from Rowan, which was the stiffest cock of the night, and Roman getting put through multiple tables and one MacBook Pro. But just when Roman appeared to have it won, Luke Harper returned from out of nowhere, or contract purgatory to be more precise, with a big boot to help his former bludgeon brother Rowan win. Harper's return is a genuinely shocking one, as Vince McMahon reportedly cancelled all of Luke's creative plans after hating a match he had with EC3 in April. This led to Harper publicly requesting his release from WWE on Twitter, which was refused, and he became stuck in contract purgatory, possibly until it expired in 2020. According to WrestleVotes, Harper's return appears to have been in the works for weeks, as this match was scheduled to go on last, with him being the closing big angle surprise. But why now? Harper's return could mean he has agreed to sign a new deal with WWE, much like when Micah Maria Kanellis and Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson re-signed their contracts earlier this year, who were then brought back for brief pushes once agreeing to stay. But how long could Harper's push last for? If Vince has changed his mind on him, Harper could become a key player in SmackDown's biggest storyline, who attacked Roman Reigns, where he could be the other assailant alongside Rowan as a Bludgeon Brothers reunion. Or, as some have pointed out, all the original Wyatt family members played a part in the last 2 matches of the show. Rowan and Harper here, with Braun in the main event and Bray attacking Seth afterwards. Could this also be foreshadowing a Wyatt family reunion down the line, maybe even for the team-based Survivor Series?
The main event of the Universal Championship match between Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman was exactly the match it needed to be. A crash, bang, wallop, big move match that was done and dusted within 10 minutes. The tag title win and loss didn't play into it at all, but that doesn't really matter when Braun is doing a big splash from the top rope and blowing everyone's tiny minds. Braun was made to look super strong, kicking out at 1 from the curb stomp and being hit by 3 more, and a pedigree for Seth Rollins to add Monster Slayer to his list of rubbish nicknames. I'm pretty sure it was the pedigree that really put Braun away. And then as Seth walked up the ramp and celebrated, the end graphic of Swerve signaled an appearance from Bray Wyatt's Fiend to yowie the wowies out of Rollins, hitting Sister Abigail on the ramp and choking him out with the mandible claw. Not only was the Seth vs. Braun match exactly what it needed to be, the finale of The Fiend was a brilliant way to cap off the night and set up the Hell in a Cell Universal Championship match between The Fiend and The Fiend Slayer. Ugh, that's what they're going to call him, aren't they? Clash of Champions 2019 was a mixed bag of a show. Some parts of it were very good, other parts were very forgettable. Some bits were really pants, and other bits, namely the final 2 matches with the surprise returns and the Fiend appearance, were fantastic. Sometimes it's how you leave them, folks, and this show left me a happy man. But judging the pay-per-view as a whole, Clash of Champions 2019 is thumbs in the middle. Can I beat Castlevania on the NES? A game I've never finished despite playing it for a large portion of my 33 years on this planet? Click the Screenstalker video to find out. And should The Fiend win at Hell in a Cell? El Fakador and myself discuss that, and so much more in the Wrestle Ramble. I've been Luke Owen, and that was wrestling.